Hey there, happy Wednesday. It's 11 a.m. and it's time for another episode of CHGO Bears presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get two risk-free bets up to $2,000. What's going on today? I am your host, Will DeWitt. Nicholas Moriano, he is right here with me. Adam Hogue is taking a planned day off. He's going to return tomorrow on Thursday. And Nick, we're just kind of kicking it old school here today. Just the two of us. It's remote. We've done this just a couple of times in our lifetime. How you been, man? How's it going?
I'm good, Will. The sun, that ball of energy in the sky, it does exist. It's out there. I can physically see it. I mean, I don't know about you, Will, but here in the Illinois area, like it just hasn't been there. I don't know how it's been in Indiana though.
It's like you have like a bubble because I've had some sunshine and it's like I've actually been able to work on my tan, even though the webcams make me look a little pastier than I feel like I look in the mirror right now. But I'm glad that the sun's out. It just kind of helps brighten the mood a bit. Like when you feel that sun ray hit your skin, it hits different and I miss it. Like winter's a long slog. And I'm sure, did you go outside yet and feel it? Because it just elevates that mood so much.
Yeah, I went to go work out earlier today and just outside. It's still cold. It's still cold, but just having, like I said, the sun out there. And I know a lot of people here can agree. Like it's nice to have it. It's May, for God's sake. May 4th. And I don't know if you guys can see this if you're watching. I am wearing a Star Wars themed shirt. I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy, but I do have one Star Wars shirt in the wardrobe.
Okay, right on. I'm not a super big Star Wars fan per se, although I don't understand why, because it's right up my alley in terms of like a lot of my interests, like as you would know, Nick, but like my parents never really made me watch it as a kid. And then you get old and you're embarrassed that you've never seen it. And I don't think I've actually sat down and watched the full movie. I've seen like the spoofs on like Robot Chicken and Family Guy and like all the other things. That's about it. So I get the story. I just don't get the original version of it.
Wow, Robot Chicken. I forgot that was even a thing. They would bring up everything. Like you would have like Dragon Ball Z would be literally everything was fair game there. Oh my gosh, it's bringing back such good memories now, Will. And of course, Adult Swim. I think I was probably watching that when you're not supposed to as a younger kid. But man, I love that show. Thanks for bringing that up.
No problem. I know what you're doing after this show. You're gonna go find it and binge it, and you're gonna have all these weird, crude, humory remarks for the rest of the week on the podcast.
I think that's what I have to do. I also see comments in here about the Bears being gone. Look, guys, it's already coming back. If you can see watching on YouTube by Friday, when Bears rookie minicamp starts. Hopefully, I'll be back to not looking like a 15-year-old again.
Was that like purposeful, or did an accident happen? I need to know.
It was purposeful. Like I'm like, okay, do I have a new razor and shaving cream? Because I don't shave my face. Like it's been like probably 2 years since I full, baby face Nick here. But I saw it. I'm like, all right, we're going for it. Let's do it.
All right. Usually mine is an accident. And it's like, hey, I'm doing something a little bit out of the ordinary. I want to look good. And I ended up by like bottom out like one side of my face. I'm like, well, there it goes. And the only other time that's happened, I rocked that goatee for a week. And you said you liked it. I don't know if I did.
That's good.
It was something.
It's a good look.
It was okay.
My parents and my brothers were like, just go just mustache on the show one of these days. And I'm like, all right, screw it. We'll do it. Like, I think actually as I'm growing this out, we'll do it all over again. Just go mustache and we'll see how that goes.
Nicholas Moriano going full Matt Peck. Inspiration here at CHGO.
Yep. I like it.
Speaking of, our other colleagues and what we've been doing around here, go Sox.
Yes, let's go. White Sox getting the W against the Cubs last night in what was just terrible conditions to play a baseball game. Adam and I were talking about this yesterday. Like, why even play baseball early May on a Tuesday, especially like a series like that where you want to get a lot of people involved? And yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me, Will. I think they could reschedule that to make it work better.
Well, I'll be at the game tonight, 48 degrees. Let's do it, guys.
Ooh.
There you go.
And I saw he had a point at the Cubs right before Joey, right before he left. Yeah. Too. He did it. I see why he had to pop in just for a second here to make that representation felt. And, I respect that tremendously. But you just mentioned like the MLB kind of dropped the ball there in terms of like creating the schedule. And I know the NFL is going to be releasing its full schedule here soon, but today we did find out there were 5 international games that were announced, 3 in London, 1 in Germany, 1 down in Mexico. And Nick, I know you and I were chatting this morning and like, hey, I want to kind of talk about this. Like, it'd be a fun segment. Like, where do we want to see the Bears play? And I know you were actually trying to say, where do I want to travel in order to go watch the Chicago Bears play? And so I wanted you to kind of kick it off. Like, where do you want to go, man? Because I know you're the travel bug. Like, where in the world would it be, fun for you to go watch the Bears, other than probably anywhere because we're Bears fans, but I'm just curious.
True. Yeah, I mean, look, going to London would be amazing. Never been to Europe, but the Bears, I mean, the NFL is planning to move into Spain. Like, the Bears and Dolphins are the 2 teams that have been allocated to that territory. So if we ever see a Bears and Dolphins are playing each other on the schedule, maybe 2023, I'm already hoping that game's going to be in Spain because I want to go. I want to go there and see what that's all about. I'm sure, just to bring that international audience and bring the Bears over in that area, that would be really, really cool. But honestly, I can't complain wherever it would be internationally.
Spain would be pretty badass. I really enjoyed my time there, 2018, when I was able to take a vacation with my wife, and we stayed a few days in Barcelona. And, you can look at Spain, you can look at Madrid, you can look at Barcelona. I would go to Barcelona. Like, and I would even go like, hey guys, like, I'm going. Like, it's such a great city. And I'm sorry, I have my parents keep calling me. Hopefully it's not an emergency. But it was a great city to go and experience. And I almost went to like an SC Barcelona game, but tickets were like outrageous because it's like the day of. It was like $500 a seat, but should have done it because like, how many times can you be in like that environment? And going over to Europe too, and how they have that more soccer-esque vibe in those stadiums, like, that's so fun. It's more like college-esque than maybe how a lot of these professional atmospheres are here in the States. But Spain would be a cool one. And if you want to just go like out there, things that haven't happened yet, like maybe Australia would be an interesting one down the road as well for the NFL as they continue to expand. But yeah, either way, I am excited to see how the NFL takes themselves from a national brand as they push towards like this global audience, this global presence. And obviously they have, the chops to do so. They're popular enough to make it possible. And I like it. Anywhere else other than Spain that's on your short list?
Like I said, London, like, again, just honestly, anywhere in Europe, I would be, because my uncle's been to a couple soccer games over there. And he said night and day difference between what an NFL game and what those fans are like. Those they live and die out there on their soccer. And so he was telling me it gets like pretty damn crazy. And, just to, I guess, see what that's like, but maybe obviously with, football being over there, that would just be a really cool experience to be a part of. And honestly, I would like to see just a traditional soccer game to see what a rivalry one at that, just to kind of see what that's all about. But send me to Europe and I'll be perfectly fine with covering the Bears over there.
Yeah, I'm sure Berlin. I saw someone said, can't wait to see the NFL games. There it is. In Antarctica. Hey, give it, another 20 years and Antarctica would be a pretty temperate climate and we can play some serious football down there. But no, if you do have any other places in the world that you would like to see, like the Chicago Bears play, feel free to throw it in the chat because I think this is a very fascinating topic and it's only going to become more prevalent. I think as we kind of go through this next decade or so, in the NFL in terms of some of these international games and international travels. Spurs Stadium in London is fire. Yeah, Wembley would be an interesting one too if you want to go like real historic. It's so many options. Anything else here, Nick, on like the international presence? I know the Bears don't have an international game this year, but maybe down the road here soon. Like they're one of the more, they are one of the most well-represented franchises terms of international fan bases, and it'd just be a huge miss by the NFL not to send the Bears out. And I don't know, would you want it to count as a home game or not? That's the question.
No, I honestly, I actually selfishly, yes, because I don't think Soldier Field is, the best play. Honestly, like I going to other stadiums. So yes, I wouldn't mind that being a home game. I did see here, Will, from Candace, it goes back to our first conversation about Star Wars. She's like, Will, I've never seen Star Wars either, but I've seen Spaceballs. I've also seen that. That is a hilarious movie.
It is. That's another great one. Thank you. So I'm not the only one that's seen this, like the spoofs of the movies instead of the real thing. So that's great. There's actual other company. People are like me out here. Is the chat more like livable today, Nick? Like I've been kind of having a window over it, but if I can open it, I will. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Yep. People are back, ready to talk Bears football, and ready for us to break down this Bears depth chart.
Yeah.
Now that we have some rookies in there, we're gonna get some undrafted free agents. Like I said, rookie mini camp's gonna be this weekend. We're back.
We're back, baby. We're getting there one step at a time. Rookie mini camp schedule comes out. Mini camps, OTAs, we blink. Training camp, here we go. It feels like a long time away, but Nick, you and I have so much experience knowing May to the end of July goes a lot quicker than you would anticipate.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's gonna be here before we know it. But if it wants to take its sweet time to get there, just because once we get to the season, well, it's gonna be crazy. Like it's constantly going, but it's never bad when we have meaningful football to talk about.
I see Sean, am I an IU alum? Hell yeah, I am. Proud of it. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Bears in Wakanda from Broadway, Kobe. Why not? Let's go. And I saw from Swanky 32, like, I'm so pumped for the show. Let's go, Nick. I think we need to talk some Chicago Bears depth chart. Do you want to pull Robert Quinn and flip a coin, or do you just want to start on one side of the ball over the other?
I don't have a coin in front of me, Will. So let's just start on one side, work our way down, and kind of get to it.
All right, let's have a heavy debate about this quarterback depth chart. Like, I don't know about you, but obviously this one is super much in flux. Like, no one knows how it's going to shake out between now and the end of training camp. But in all seriousness, Justin Fields is your starter. Trevor Siemian is your backup. I think they roll with two. I didn't even put a third one on my list here, to be honest, Nick, and I'm not trying to disrespect some of the other quarterbacks on this roster. It's just the nature of the NFL now. You really want that roster spot. Someone to be on the practice squad, to say the least. You'll have your Tyler Bray-esque guys somewhere, but in terms of like the depth chart and like an official, like what can actually play out come week one, Fields and Trevor Siemian. Any other thoughts on that one that we should be thinking through?
No, I mean, obviously Ryan Willis is on the roster, but that's a guy that, he's going to be a part of this, the training camps and things like that. But when it comes to the actual season, having that 53-man roster, it would be best to obviously not have him part of it. See if you can get somebody else that can probably contribute on special teams. But nope, I agree there.
Okay, so I know I said pre-show maybe won't make this an official talking point, but a few people are asking since we're at quarterback about RG3 because he's made it clear there are a few teams like, hey, I wouldn't mind going to if I want to resurrect my career. The Chicago Bears were one of them, and he mentioned how he would love to come into this building and kind of mentor Justin Fields. What are your thoughts on that? I know the Bears have cap space. I don't think RG3 would break the bank, and he is more of a similar style of quarterback that like Justin, where Siemian isn't. So if you're looking for like a fit, because almost like with Siemian in a way, I would think not that you have to run two different offenses, but like their skill sets are a little bit different and you would have to tailor it. Whereas RG3, like you do have another mobile quarterback that can fit that mold. And again, like he's had so much adversity that he has gone through throughout his career as well. And I think he would be a great voice, someone that Justin can look up to in that locker room each and every single day. And that may have a lot of value in its own right, but does it make sense?
I think it would make sense, Will. I mean, RG3, like you said, has gone through a lot of stuff in his career, but he was just backing up Lamar Jackson, who is probably the most athletic quarterback in the NFL. But it would be another veteran presence to kind of have in the room for Justin Fields to see things a little bit differently. Again, I think when you have guys that are also similar skill type as you in the quarterback room, I think that is beneficial. So if the Bears were to maybe pursue that, look into an RG3, it would make sense. And I wouldn't be opposed to doing something like that. I honestly, I mean, so Trevor Siemian, RG3, if you were like, let's say Justin Fields got hurt, that's a really good backup. That's a really good quarterback room to really have. And they just lost Nick Foles. They released him. So to have someone like that would make sense.
I don't know if lost Nick Foles. Adam's not here, Nick. Like, we don't have to.
That's true.
They let him go. We moved on from Nick Foles, but I like it. And I know RG3, obviously, early on in his career, super dynamic with his legs. And he can probably be a really good sounding board for Justin of like, hey, let's avoid these hits. I know personally, like, we need to limit the toll on your body and help him with, from that perspective as well. Because I'm sure if Robert Griffin III can go back in time and talk to his rookie self, like, hey, I know this is electric. It's a lot of fun, but let's protect ourselves for the long haul here. So that could just be another, I guess, vantage point that Justin could gain from having RG3 in the locker room. But as it shakes out, as of right now with the depth chart, Justin Fields, Trevor Siemian is kind of your situation at hand. Moving over to running back, Nick, David Montgomery is your starter. Would you peg Khalil Herbert as like the number 2 right now, or is with some of the competition they're bringing in, is it something that is worth a conversation?
I think Khalil Herbert would be your RB2 at this point, being the Brian Piccolo Award winner for the rookie this season and knowing how he fits in an outside zone scheme. I would put Herbert as RB2 at this point, but look, there's Darrington Evans, Treston Ebner. I guess, are we putting Kahari Blasingame in the...
He's a fullback.
I know, obviously, fullback. Yeah, fullback. So, but yeah, I would put Herbert as 2.
Okay, I have Herbert as 2 as well. I just wanted to at least give you the chance to, say if it may have been different, or because I have some guys like on the same line in my notes, because it's like, I don't know yet. Like, that's something that we're going to have to see throughout some of these OTAs to kind of have a good understanding of where the Bears are pegging them. But Herbert's 2. Now I think it gets 3, though. Like, interesting at number 3. Is it Ebner? Is it Evans? I have Ebner at 3, just because of the draft status. I think that brought in a Darrington Evans for a failsafe. I know he was someone that they brought off of waivers, so they must like him. Real speedy guy, fits the zone scheme. I just feel like if they're going to be utilizing a draft pick on Ebner, they have some hopes for the guy, and he is a better receiver out of the backfield than honestly probably this entire group right now. And having that skill set on your roster, I think is very valuable for the Bears. That's why they got him. I have Ebner at 3. What about you? What's the bottom of this depth chart look like at the running back position?
Man, I think right now for me, I'm going to put Evans as the 3. Like, the Bears did identify him early on in this process, brought him in here. And it's not to say that Ebner obviously doesn't have a place on this team right now for the Bears, but like, special teams are also a big part of what he could do as well. So in the running back room, I'm going to give the slight edge to Evans and then go Ebner. It's like almost like a 3A, 3B kind of situation for me. But, this rookie minicamp is going to be, I think, telling to what an Ebner, like a player like Ebner, can do.
I have Evans on my last line with Master Teague, and I think they're in a battle for maybe both could make the practice squad. I mean, Evans kind of has been a practice squad guy throughout his career so far, but Master Teague is someone that, as we talked about yesterday in the show, could end up kind of carving his way, onto this roster or be someone on the fringe. I saw a comment a little bit ago. I forgot who it was. It's kind of rolling here too, but maybe the Bears do roll with like 4 running backs and a fullback on this roster week 1. I mean, the Bears under their previous regime were heavy at the tight end position. Maybe they look at, running back or the backfield as that one to kind of roll a little heavier than you would expect. Fullback, though, Kyrie Blasingame.
Got
right?
one.
We got one. Like, we can agree on that one.
That's the only option we really got. Actually, I want to say, Will, one of the undrafted free agents, I think they think they have someone lined up at fullback. Don't have that in front of me, and I should. But I think ultimately it doesn't matter. If Kahari Blasingame does make the roster, make the 53-man roster, there will be one fullback, and not a must.
So backfield in general, though, I feel good about the talent level that the Bears have been able to kind of bring, throughout this offseason, bolstering it just a little bit. It's stronger than it was, I'd say, a year ago, and I'm excited to see how it all shakes out. But right now, Montgomery, Herbert, and then it gets interesting between Evans, Ebner, Teague. But yeah, I saw a lot of people had some different opinions out here as well. I know I saw a couple like "Don't sleep on Evans" comments, and again, this is a great situation for the Bears to have, that we're sitting here May 4th, and getting to discuss like where some of these guys peg, because the competition is there. And that's what the Bears and Poles have been wanting to provide at every single spot here on the roster is competition. And I can say fully, like, running back has some serious competition to, if in terms like who's gonna suit up on game day, maybe take some of these carries, because Monty's he's running back one, but you're gonna have to get someone out there too once in a while. That's something the Bears didn't do a good job of last year. They really failed to get Herbert out there as much as I think they should have, but I don't expect that to be the case here come this season.
I agree with you, Will.
All right, moving on over to tight end. Nick, you want to kind of start us off with how you're looking at this unit and how it's shaken out?
Yeah, and so the Bears have actually done, they've done some work here adding to the tight end position, right? Being able to, start with Cole Kmet, but then you get Ryan Griffin, James O'Shaughnessy, and then obviously also have Jesper Horsted on there. So for me, like how it ranks on the depth chart, you go Cole Kmet, and then I was debating, and like I'm not putting Jesper Horsted up there. Well, I'm not putting him as tight end too. I'm sorry. I know. I have to go with the veterans. I have to go with one of the veterans, and for me, I'm going Ryan Griffin is 2, and whatever that really means, to be completely honest, between O'Shaughnessy and Griffin, to be completely honest, but it kind of goes in that order: Kmet, Griffin, O'Shaughnessy, and then Horsted. And that doesn't mean that Horsted's not going to play more, but that's just how I kind of see it.
All right, let me set the record straight. This is the order that I have, and this is the correct order, Nick. I got Cole Kmet, Ryan Griffin, James O'Shaughnessy, and Jesper Horsted. See, I can admit, like, I love Jesper Horsted, but how this room shakes out right now, like, this is where he's pegged. But I would love for him to ball out in training camp again and make him really think about it. Like, maybe he should be higher up. Like, they brought in the veterans to kind of, provide some stability there, some different skill sets. But Horsted, like, hey, he's going to get another shot, and he always makes the most of those opportunities. And I have Chase Allen, too, listed right beneath him. I gave him, a decent rundown yesterday. Our good old friend from back in the Chicago Audible days, Nick Assen, who covers the Cyclones, mentioned like this dude's a leader, and he's a tremendous blocker at the position. And you can't have too many tight ends that can block, especially for the Bears, who have had some issues with that over the last few years. So have someone that's like a pure blocker who's also going to be a receiving threat. Like, he is someone that they can develop here. And, right now he's on the bottom, but again, we'll see how it all kind of plays out, but that's kind of how it is right now. But I thought he was worth mentioning in terms of like being on the depth chart.
Yeah, I know Doug doesn't agree with us about Jesper Horsted and kind of where we have him, but here, Doug, for maybe early on in the season, wouldn't it make sense that the veterans kind of see a little bit more of that playing time, like a Griffin and O'Shaughnessy, but later on, as all these players are getting acclimated to Luke Getsy's offense, that maybe you see more of Jesper Horsted later on in the year when you can kind of get more familiar with the role. Obviously, they're all learning this offense right now, but it makes sense that guys that have been in the league longer will pick up things faster because, again, they've been around different systems longer in their career. So not to say that Jesper Horsted won't climb up that ladder as we kind of get later on in the season.
See, here's the thing, and I said it once. I'm going to say it one more time because I know, Doug, I'm right there with you, man. I really am. And I believe Jesper, as I said, like, he's someone that every time the Bears have given him a chance, he's exceeded those expectations. And I have no clue why, with Pace and Nagy, like every time he would do something right, they would just, I guess, not acknowledge it and give him more opportunities. So if he does what his career has showed that he can do every time, and take a chance and really just say, yep, this is my shot. And again, every time that man touches the football, he scores. Like, that's what he does. And if that ends up happening again, who knows? Maybe he can really carve out a role for himself on this offense. It's not up to us. That's up to the coaches. But I do believe the kid is talented enough to do so. Up next, we're going to talk about the wide receivers, but I do want to let you know that the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use the code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet. And if you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we have a team that will definitely help you out. Your home for live in-play betting just got even better. Introducing PointsBet's new feature, Live NBA Same Game Parlay. For the first time ever, you can build the perfect live NBA Same Game Parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game, and if you want more, you can also boost your live Same Game Parlays. Watch live, parlay live, and boost live with PointsBet. And now online signup is available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now. Register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
I'll say this right now, Will. Any bet involving John Morant, I'm just taking it. That man is amazing. So much fun to watch. I was watching the game last night, and man, like I see flashes of Derrick Rose. I just see so much athleticism. I can go on a tangent for John Morant in the NBA, but I have to go and direct everyone to Strava CBD coffee. And first, let me ask everybody: do you want to start your day off with a competitive edge? Of course you do, and that's why you get Strava CBD coffee. It's helped thousands of people to improve their overall wellness and quality of life. Strava delivers delicious, fresh roasted specialty coffee infused with organic spectrum CBD. And just so you know, CBD from hemp doesn't make you high or hungry, but it does offer real benefits that can help you, like feeling alert and focused without the jitters, living your day more balanced with less anxiety and fewer aches and pains. Plus, including CBD in your daily routine can help you enjoy more restful sleep so you wake up feeling at your best. And the best part of all of this, Strava is all about quality. Everything is small batch, fresh, and shipped straight to your door. Strava also offers concentrated, full spectrum CBD tinctures for those looking for a more traditional CBD format with a powerful entourage effect of benefits. And here's the most important part, people. CHGO listeners can save 25% off their entire purchase when you use code CHGO25. That's 25% off your entire order at StravaCraftCoffee.com. When you use code CHGO25 at checkout, discount coupon valid on non-subscription purchases only, one use per customer. And if you already love Strava, subscribe and save with the Strava Coffee Club. Gotta join that club, you guys. With Strava, you're in control. Save on your favorite coffees and have them automatically delivered to your home or office on your preferred schedule.
Yeah, CBD is great. Having it in your coffee is even better because it's part of my routine each and every morning. And Nick hit on some of the benefits. I actually kind of was on Twitter yesterday talking about some of my own mental health challenges. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and CBD is something that does help me kind of combat some of my just general anxiety that I live with on a day-to-day basis, and just kind of takes, I'm not going to say it takes the edge off, but just makes me just feel a little bit more calm and able to kind of approach my day with a little bit more of a clear head. But on top of that, Nick, I just want to say I'm proud of you for having that ad read at the ready, because I just remember last week around this time wasn't the case.
Yeah, and Joey is a producer for this show. Shout out to Joey for coming in the clutch on, what was that, Thursday? Because I did not have that ad read. It was lost somewhere in the archives of Google Docs, and Joey came out with his phone, gave me the Strava ad read, and I was good to go.
Yeah, Joey, you're a rock star, man. If you want to show your face and wave, you can. If not, you can hide in the background. There we go. All right. I just had to give him a chance. All right. So let's get back to this depth chart analysis right now. You know, it's May 4th. So whatever, we're just projecting where, there we go. There we go. We're just projecting where it stands today. We're not saying where it's going to be come, week 1 in September, but wide receiver, Nick, I'll start this one off because I think you had tight end. Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle. And again, though, this is where it gets interesting. Like, I don't know. I can say, Equinus, St. Brown, and Bayless Jones Jr., and then Simba Webster, Isaiah Coulter is like the list, but like, how does it all play out right now? Like, who's the X, who's your Y, who's your Z? Like, I don't think there is an X outside of St. Brown on this roster, and that's still kind of a problem to be had if they want to have that, prototypical X. But also, even looking at a lot of the UDFAs, they're all like 5'10", 5'11" guys. I feel like they have a type and they're trying to go a little unorthodox with this receiving room, or they're waiting for the one guy that they've been targeting in free agency that isn't just here yet. And they've been playing like the patience game, but I don't know. I think their actions are speaking loudly that they feel like as of right now, to me, like they don't need that X. And I don't, that's probably, something that's worth another discussion outside of this podcast in terms of like, is that a mistake? But it's just kind of the situation at hand. But like I said, how does this actually shake out? Like in terms of like who is where as of today?
Yeah, so I think if you're filling these roles, like so Darnell Mooney's like that Z receiver. Like if you're gonna label him there, and then Byron Pringle, Equanimity should be your X, and then you have Byron Pringle as kind of filling in the slot with Velus Jones Jr. behind him. Is that kind of how? Because
Yeah,
Pringle does have that versatility of being outside and inside. And then Daz Newsome would be also in that mix of like the slot guys. Hey,
shoot. Yeah, Daz Newsome, man.
He's a part of this roster.
See, and what I love though, because I did this depth chart without having the Bears roster in front of me. Like I love using this mental exercise, like who's here and picking it like from my memory. And Daz Newsome skipped or slipped through my mind, and I think that's the Bears' problem from last year from not playing him as much as they should, because I really like what he was able to do in some preseason work. But yeah, that's kind of where I have it. And again, I can see Velus Jones Jr. carving a role on this offense. So just because he's listed 4th for us doesn't mean he's going to be, only out there for a snap or two or only like a special teams player. And I can see some real dangerous, triple, 4 wide sets with Jones and St. Brown and Pringle and Mooney. Like between Pringle, Mooney, and Jones Jr., like the speed that they would have to cover if you have them all like in a bunch set in one side, like good luck. Like, you get some rubs going on there, which by the way, one more thing, and this is totally off topic, but it's something I've been thinking about for about 10 seconds now. But Luke Getsy, like something the Packers do so good are those rub routes, Nick. Like we haven't thought about like how that can influence this offense. And that's something the Bears have never did a good job of, is like having guys kind of do those subtle picks to free guys up. So I think that's also going to be a sneaky way to get some of these guys open that I don't think we've actually talked about in the show yet.
No, and like Luke Getsy was doing that for Devontae Adams. Like even Devontae Adams had help from his offensive coordinator to scheme him open. Yes, Devontae Adams can usually win a one-on-one against any corner, but even in that second game against Green Bay at Lambeau Field, that's what they did to get Jalen Johnson off of him. So that's why we hear so much and we've heard so much about the coaching playing a huge part of what this offense can be. It's going to be stuff like that, something that really will, like you mentioned, hasn't been brought up enough on this podcast, but that is definitely going to be a part of it.
Yeah, those rub routes, like that's going to help everything. It just frees guys up for so many easy looks, and we've been torched so many times by it, not just by the Packers, but by other teams. But for some, godforsaken reason, the Bears decided they're too good for it. But I think Luke Getsy's going to prove otherwise. He's going to come in here and kind of instill some of that. It's like I said, so having like a 3 wide set with those guys, like, and you have one guy just kind of subtly pick, like they have that initial burst and breakaway speed to make plays happen. And that's what gets me excited. I saw from J2K Larsonite that Velus Jones is a gimmick. He is not. Go look at what he did at the Senior Bowl, both in practices and the game. He's running routes against some of the better talent in the draft. And I saw he doesn't run routes. He can run routes. And he's been working on it. Like, let's give him a chance. But all right, that's all the skill guys in offense. Let's get to the offensive line. Nick, are we going to go left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle? Or are we just going to do guards and tackles in center?
Good question. Well, I'm going to let you decide, but real quick, going back to Doug one last time. He said, y'all got to stop disrespecting the 4 undrafted free agent wide receivers you signed. I get you. I'll pay attention to I have Landon Lenore. Now he's down in my notes. I also have Cyrus Holder from Duquesne on the list. So this weekend, I will definitely keep an eye on all 4 of those guys. Actually, what do they have? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they have five wide receivers. So I'll keep an eye on them for you, Doug, and let you know this weekend how they do.
And we're not disrespecting them. It's the depth chart, and you're undrafted. And there's a couple spots where I have undrafted guys maybe being pegged, but receivers just not one of them right now. And that's where I'm going to trust Nick to go out there with his eyes, this weekend and come back next week or even some reports later on in the week and like exactly bring out the knocks.
Yes, actually, those are here. And like I gotta bring those, just leave them in my car, because if they practice on that far field, which the Bears like to do because they like to do stuff like that, I'll have my binoculars seeing everything that's going on.
Such a pro. All right. So I think let's just quickly do like position by position, and then we can talk about like the groups if we want. But left tackle, as of right now, it's Larry Borum is your starter just based off of what you saw in the mini camp. Then you have Julian Davenport from the Colts, and then Braxton Jones, or does Jones peg is like that second guy already? I feel like you have to go with the veteran as of it stands in May 4th, but Braxton Jones is someone that can quickly and rapidly rise up this depth chart.
That's how I would phrase it. Right now, Davenport, as of what, like you said, May 4th. But Braxton Jones, I think, is a guy that through this training camp process can raise up the ranks and maybe take that starting left tackle 2 spot.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just go to right tackle real quick instead of just going down the line, because I want to kind of keep these conversations in line with like the positional groups here. So right tackle, Tevin Jenkins. Is there anyone else that pegs as that second? To me, I'm looking at Davenport as a swing guy right now, with Jones kind of in that mix still. I look at Jones as a left tackle project for the Bears. So I'm looking at Davenport as like the swing between left and right. There's other players in this roster, but I just, that's how I just see the depth chart shaking out. Like you don't really roll with, 4 or 5 tackles. You usually have, we have 4, but like that third guy is either going to play left or right if he needs to get plugged in, at all, at least, historically. That's how I'm seeing it though.
Yeah, would it be Lachavious Simmons? Would he be your right tackle? Like, I mean, again, see, that's where there's obviously, as we're kind of going through this exercise here, it's like, well, the Bears need to go get another backup right tackle. Not unless you do have Julian Davenport as kind of that guy too. But right now, I think it's Lachavious Simmons.
Gross.
It's not a really good situation to be in, especially because Tevin Jenkins was just playing left tackle last season, and now it looks like the Bears want to move over to right tackle, which he played in college. So yeah, it's not the ideal situation to be in. So that would definitely be a position I think the Bears will look to address after, during training camp or once after cuts are made.
All right, center, real quick, because I think that one's clear cut as can be. You got Lucas Patrick starting, and then Doug Kramer's his backup, right?
Yeah, and then obviously yes, that's how I would do it.
Ooh, what do you want to say?
Well, so I guess Sam Musfer is like not the wild card X factor, but obviously him playing center too, like he's also in that mix, right? But I would go Patrick and Kramer, then Sam.
My thought is if they moved him from center so quickly, they don't want to move him back. Maybe he's your emergency center.
That's why he's 3.
Yeah,
that's why he's 3.
I get it. I get that 100%. I'm just saying, like, that's why I didn't even name him. Like, if one of their very first decisions was like, okay, you're moving here, to me, that says a lot about where they see him or don't see him. And center is one where I don't believe that Ryan Poles is going to throw out there unless an emergency situation happens. But it is only May 4th. So I think that makes, a lot of sense. Looking at guard, I don't know if we want to do left and right or just lump them, because this is where it gets a little bit more, even more so than tackles, a little bit more interchangeable. But I'll let you kind of, I'll defer to you on this one and just kind of explain it in any way you want, and I'll chime in after.
Well, okay, Cody Whitehair, left guard. Maybe eliminate one, and then right guard is where it gets really, really interesting for me. Like Sam Musfer was the guy who got the reps initially in, the voluntary minicamp, but it's voluntary minicamp. You're kind of just pegging guys there that you have. You also have Dakota Dozier. He got reps, I think it was a second practice, if I'm not mistaken, Will. He started off as the starting right guard for a couple of reps. Then they put Musfer back there. But then now you have to get into these rookies that have been drafted, right? Like Zach Thomas, Jatari Carter. Like, I think you got to put them into the mix at right guard, because I think that is such a fluid position at this point in time.
Yep, I agree. I don't have any more really to add other than, I'm 100% behind you there in terms of exactly how you laid it out. I just looked at the time. You and I, when we do our shows together, we're used to the 90-minute kind of thing and not the 60. I think it's muscle memory in a way. And I know you and I love to talk Chicago Bears football, but we do only have 20 minutes and over half this roster still to get to. So honestly, really quickly, though, before we get to this defense, I just want to let you know that if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app and use the code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. You'll be signing up with the fastest sportsbook, and it's easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Nick, I'll go over to you to talk about CHGO since I just flipped the order on you.
I saw that. I'm like, I'm calling an audible here. I'm going through my note. But I know all about CHGO, and you guys should too. But if you aren't a member, it's like, what are you waiting for at this point, you guys? Like, you get access to all of our premium content. And Adam Hogue actually just released an article today. Go check it out. He reached out to a bunch of different people, gained some insight on these Bears rookie draft class. So you definitely want to check that out on allchgo.com. But you also get a free t-shirt of your choice when you become a member, and you get access to the members only Discord, the CHGO Lounge. And of course, we have podcasts and live shows like this one on literally every team in Chicago every single day. So come join this amazing family that is constantly growing here at CHGO.
Perfect. Now, see, that's what I get, though, for, dissing on you about the Strava. And then I just jump into your ad read. I got about 25% in. I'm like, I'm committing. We're going for it. Nick can talk about CHGO, but you hit that Discord. And I think over the last few weeks, it's really starting to kind of pop off a bit with the community that we're building at CHGO of, and the cool thing is, like, you sign up and you can go into the different rooms as you want. You can hop in the Bears room, the Sox room, the Cubs room. And so if you're only a Bears fan, like, there is a section just to talk with other like-minded Bears fans and us. Like, we're in there too. So it's a little bit more intimate than social media. And it's a great way just to kind of take that next step with us and kind of, be involved in our community that we're very proud to be growing here at CHGO. But Nick, let's talk some defense. Let's look at defensive end. Can we just lump this into one position? Does it have to be left or right defensive end?
I don't think so. I think we can lump it in here. Like, you have Robert Quinn, right? Obviously, he's like the main guy. And then, like, do you have Travis Gibson as number 2? Like, as the opposite starter come week 1? Or do you have Alquandine Muhammad?
I have Alquandine Muhammad as my as my starter right now, opposite of a Robert Quinn. And that's just, again, due to the nature of where we're at in the offseason. If Travis Gibson is developing still, and we've talked about it briefly, but he's going back to more of a natural fit for him because coming out of Tulsa, he was more of a hand in the dirt guy. He was a defensive end, not a stand-up rusher. So they made him kind of, be something, not something he's not, but something that he had to kind of learn. So that took some time, but now he's going to go back to that natural fit. But as of now, he is number 3 on my list. Number 4 is Jeremiah Atachu still. I know it's but I did go back, like I said, and he did play some defensive end early on in his career over there with the Chargers. So it's not like it's outlandish to say he can't fit in, and the Bears haven't cut him. So they are obviously expecting a role or wanting to kind of see what he can do throughout this offseason and training camp. So that I'm going to let him go there. But how about this one? Sam Kamara or Dominique Robinson, my guy?
Ooh, man. I mean, so Dominique Robinson's going to take some time. And so I don't expect that early on once the depth chart comes out. But I think I'm going to go Sam. Too? Yeah, no, I've been seeing a lot of people Snowden in the chat. We need to see him carve out a role for himself. He has a body type to where you can frame him into what you want him to be for this Bears defense. But we need to see it really quickly. Will be obviously because we're pressed on time. I'm really high on what Travis Gibson can do this season. Like, I think he's gonna, like, he had 7 sacks last season, and obviously I also have Alquandine Muhammad being the guy that's gonna start week 1. But I think Gibson will have ultimately the better season than him. And I think you probably have it the same way. But yeah, that's how I kind of see the ends kind of going right now.
I would assume what I expect out of him. No, Travis Gibson was someone last year, Nick, that on our main account, like, I highlighted as a potential breakout player alert. And I think he did exactly that. So obviously we're both very high on the kid. Let's look at defensive tackle. Let's start at the 3 tech. Justin Jones is your starter as of
Mhm.
today. Then I have Mario Edwards Jr. As his backup. Outside of that, I think it gets real flexible in terms of like what the defensive lineman can do and where they're going to line up. I saw someone in the chat a bit ago. Sorry, I didn't catch the name, but they said Mario Edwards can end up be starting 3-tech week 1. What do you think? Like he's capable. I think he's talented enough to make a case for himself, but just looking at what the Bears obviously wanting to address that as hard as they did. And I feel like if they don't start Justin Jones, it's going to prove like how much they missed out on Larry Ogunjobi. So that's why I still have him pegged as the starter.
Here's how Mario Edwards can start week 1. Justin Jones has had some injuries that he sustained throughout his career with the Chargers. That could be definitely a reason why Mario Edwards can start. But I think you look at the contract. So you guys, if you look at what they're paying Justin Jones on that 2-year contract that they're paying him and being like the 1B after Ogunjobi didn't work out, I think Justin Jones will end up starting unless there's injuries.
Okay, I see some people mentioning Blackson. He's next. There's 2 defensive tackles that are lining up on this defense, and Angelo Blackson is number 1 on my depth chart there. Nick, who's behind him?
You got to put Kairos Tonga, right? I think, he showed enough definitely in year 1, and he's definitely a guy that can go in there, be more of that gap filler, right? It's just a bigger body to have next to like a Justin Jones in that 3-tech.
All right, linebacker. Now, I was going to ask, like, do we want to go by position, Sam, Will, and Mike? However, like, do you want to peg Roquan and Nicholas Amaro in any of those right now, or are you just going to keep it fluid? Like, they're going to be they're starters right now in the depth chart, but do you want to peg one over the other in a spot?
No, but I will. Okay, I don't know if I share. Okay, so I don't even know if I'm allowed to share this. But when we were at the voluntary mini camps, Nicholas Morrow was calling the plays. Like you could hear him calling the plays, and I don't know if that indicates, oh, he's the Mike, he's the Will. But I think at this point, like, let's just the linebackers that'll be starting and take that information however you guys want, you guys. But it's like I think they're so interchangeable. They're so interchangeable. How Eberflus was kind of talking about it. Like ultimately, it doesn't matter which one is playing which. So that's how I'll leave it.
Okay, I think that makes sense. As of right now, it's for me who I'm not lucky like you. I'm not privileged to go see some of those right now. Maybe one day I grow into a role similar to that, but I have to trust you in what you're seeing. And for me, just to guess doesn't make any sense at all here. But who's the other starter right now, though? Like, if you had to look at the Sam, is it like a Matthew Adams, a Noah Dawkins, a Jack Sanborn? But obviously, you're not going to say he's a starter now. He's somewhere on this depth chart. Just trying to give Adam a little bit of Wisconsin Badger love here. But who is that third starter for the linebackers?
So that's a really good question. Do you just peg Matthew Adams there for now? Like his name's just literally there, and we'll kind of see as we get closer to training camp. But I guess I'll just go with Matthew Adams.
Okay, same. And then outside of that, I'm just looking at backups and just general. Since we didn't say Caleb Johnson or Noah Dawkins there, like obviously they're pegging over there. But they brought in a Joe Thomas too. Like
Joe Thomas, they did bring Joe Thomas
so
in.
he's there. But I do think Jack Sanborn, someone that to me is on the bottom of the depth chart as of today, but is someone that can kind of work his way up this ladder throughout this offseason, throughout training camp, throughout the preseason to be someone come week 1 that maybe he's not a starter, but he's definitely, I don't think he's going to sit on that bottom of the depth chart this whole time.
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring in who's it? Hitchens, right, from Kansas City? Or no, am I thinking of somebody completely off? He also went to Iowa, and I don't know why. Is it Walker Hitchens? Like there was a guy from. I know I should know this, but I'm mixing him up with the guy from the Browns who also had connections with Eberflus back in Dallas, and maybe I'm relying on people in the chat to finally address the blankness that I can't for some reason figure out. But that's who they. Yeah, there you go, Anthony Hitchens. Thank you, Doug. Doug, you've just been rocking here in this show today. I appreciate it, my man. Yes, from Kansas City, but. Yeah, I'm surprised they don't bring a guy like that in too. Just a veteran presence, also has a familiarity with, obviously Ryan Poles, but yeah.
But yeah.
All
right. Linebackers are behind us. And now let's look at the secondary beginning at cornerback. who are your 3 starters? 2 we're gonna actually we're probably gonna agree on all 3. I just know us. We do. But it's gonna be Gordon and Johnson are your clear cut, right? Do you have Gordon starting
Duke
outside?
Shelley.
Like easy, right?
Oh, sorry.
Get
No,
the
just kidding.
get the
Yes.
hell out of here! Like
I'm kidding.
Jack, kick him out.
Yes, got Gordon starting opposite of Jalen Johnson on the outside. He's definitely capable of moving inside too if you need him to, but he is an outside corner and he can definitely excel in that role.
Sorry, I was just swallowing the little bit of vomit that came up when I heard that you had Duke Shelley, listed as your starter right now. But who's that third? Who's that slot guy? Is it Tavon Young? Because that's who I have.
I have Tavon Young. No, yes,
Oh.
I think that Tavon Young he's a good ball player. Will, and the only thing with some of these players on this roster is like, can he stay healthy? That's going to be the only question here because he was once paid the highest nickel corner in the league. So if he can stay healthy, he can definitely contribute for this Bears defense.
Yep, I think that's what they're projecting right now. And that's why he's number 1 on our depth charts, because he is someone that they brought in with the hope and desire that he can lock down that inside spot. I think that was re-solidified with the Bears draft strategy. If they weren't so solid on it, they would have probably went with a corner. I know Gordon's inside and out, but you needed 2 starting guys. So you would have drafted someone else that can potentially fill in that slot. But Young is definitely that kid right now. Behind him, though, Graham, Thomas Graham Jr., Kendall Vildor, Duke Shelley, are they the next in line for you still?
So I'm still kind of debating where I have Thomas Graham Jr. I know that he played outside, especially did well in that Minnesota game. But man, if like Tavon Young's not healthy, wouldn't you rather see him out there than a Duke Shelley just to kind of give it a go to see what he's capable of doing there?
You don't have to ask me. Maybe it's like a hypothetical question you threw out there, a hyperbole or whatever that was. But man, my wife's an English teacher, and I know she just gets so mad at me for not remembering some of these literary terms. But yeah, you know how I feel about Thomas Graham Jr. I've been feeling about that since the Bears drafted the kid, and I think if you need to throw in that 4th corner on the field, I don't think he's there in the depth chart now. Like, that's the problem because we're having a depth chart discussion of now. But again, this is another person when we get closer to the regular season, I would expect to be higher in the depth chart than he currently is slotted today.
Yeah, and see, if you have him behind Kyler Gordon, it's like then you're not seeing when are you going to see Thomas Graham, right? He's not going to take over for Gordon.
Can he be both?
So,
like, could he be like not like a swing corner, right?
Right.
Like, you have a swing tackle. Why not have a swing corner that he's the first guy off the bench. If you have to put him outside or inside, like like number 25, Thomas Graham, he's my guy. Like, that's how I can see them doing that, because Thomas Graham can play outside, he can play inside, and I know you want guys to specialize, but also having versatility is not a bad thing to have. And Graham's someone who plays with good technique. Like, that's something that he's already brought to the table. I think he can do it. So not that he's there now, but that's a position on this depth chart that I would love to see him kind of earn.
Yeah, I like that a lot, Will, having that swing corner. But yes, in a bind, in a pinch, like if you need Graham to do either, like I like that.
All right. Anyone else that you want to kind of mention the very back end for corners right now as of today? I know they brought in a Lamar Jackson, a Greg Stroman Jr., Michael Joseph still hanging around, but
I forgot about Michael Joseph, to be completely honest. But I just want to throw out the name Bo Pete Keys because his name's Bo Pete Keys, and that's where I'll kind of leave it.
Pete Keys. That's fun to say. I like the alliteration that it comes down with. All right, safety. Eddie Jackson, do you have him starting?
I do have him starting. How about you?
Yeah, I do. Okay, we're on the same page there. Brisker, day 1 starter, or like immediate starter on the depth chart, I should say. Like, Bears drafted him last week. Is he already number 1, or does he have to earn his way up the ladder? I think they peg him number 1. They've talked about how high he was on the board. I don't know who else on this roster. Like, I know there's guys like you have Dane Cruikshank. He's someone that I don't see as a starting caliber safety, but I love the quality of depth he provides. Same thing with a DeAndre Houston Carson. That's why for me, right out of the gate, just like Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker is already the top dog at strong safety.
He is, and Ryan Poles said it, and as much I don't know if you want to take everything that he says as true, but he said, yeah, Gordon and Brisker are gonna have to compete for these jobs, and I think they will compete, and they'll end up being one on the depth chart at both the cornerback spot and safety spot. So I do have him also pegged as a starting strong safety.
Now, you said something that I want to just kind of make clear how I feel about this. Do you want to believe what Ryan Poles says? And he's been here 4 months. And he has stayed true to his word each and every single time. I know we've been burned by Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy with lying to our face each and every time they step up to the podium, but Ryan Poles to me has proven that he's a man of his word. So if he says that, like, I'm gonna buy into it until he proves me otherwise. I believe what he throws down. Like, he's been right up front with us each and every single step of the way. And I love the transparency, the authenticity that he provides the Bears from that general manager position. And I don't know how a lot of Bears fans are feeling, but see, Doug, Poles hasn't lied once. Exactly. So to me, he has my trust. He has earned it with his actions. He's backed it up with, those words. So that's where I stand right now is today. Like, it's not like, do you want to believe him? I don't have a question in my mind right now, Nick. Like, I believe the guy, and that's a good thing to have. And I expect that to remain the case as we move forward. But so Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker, and then I don't know if you have like one guy, like, okay, here's Eddie's backup or here's Brisker's backup, but like, who's underneath?
Here, I'll phrase it this way: who comes in like those dime packages when you really got to get as many DBs on the field as possible, like what they did with DeAndre Houston Carson early on, right? He'd be that extra kind of DB that they bring on the field. So it would be like a DHC, and I guess you have him pegged behind Eddie Jackson. But like I see like a DeAndre Houston Carson and Elijah Hicks kind of role, like where Hicks can come in if look, he's gonna have to battle with DHC, who's been ascending as a player, who's shown that he's capable of doing his assignment on a defense. But I would say like that's my 3-4 after the Eddie Jackson Brisker.
I like Kruk as that bigger body hybrid linebacker safety type. Like, he's not someone that I would say the Bears are going to roll out and as like a starter at safety, even if an injury goes down. I think he's a pure sub package guy that you want to match up in situations. I know like the film was all out about him being like a tight end killer in a way, like really good in that man coverage against tight ends. Like, I think that's how they're going to utilize him as like a pure matchup specialist. So DeAndre Houston Carson, and then Elijah Hicks is a player that I know Jaquan Brisker said he's to steal the draft. I saw in the chat that Hicks could end up being like the steal the draft. And, the more I look into him as a person, what he was able to accomplish as a player before his injury, there's a lot of parallels here between him and Eddie Jackson in terms of playing at an ultra high level. But for some reason, one injury killed his draft stock, and he fell much further than his talent level ever should have let him do so. But I'm elated because he fell to the Bears' laps, and he's here, and he's someone that, again, as of today, if you want to go down like any of the positions, he's probably third on the depth chart at safety as of today. But he is someone that get him in the building, and he can easily make a name for himself in the case to be higher up later on. All right, I just have one more position I want to debate because Patrick Scales is your starting long snapper, Cairo Santos is your kicker, but at punter, is Trenton Gill already above a Ryan Winslow?
Yes, no, I don't know. He's got nice triceps, so but I'm gonna say yes because of the draft pick, and it's gonna be a punting battle that I guess we get to watch in these training camps. But I think Trenton Gill ends up being that starter. Will.
Okay, I'm with you. If you invest a draft pick, he's your guy. And Winslow was someone that they kept around in case they couldn't get someone else. You need someone to punt the football. Hopefully not too much here, or at least not as much as we've seen in years past. But yeah, if you're going to draft a punter, like, he should automatically slot into your starting role. If not, you're wasting a draft pick. And I don't believe Poles wants to waste a draft pick. And he can say, I drafted a starter in the 7th round. And for a rookie GM, like, that's a nice little resume, booster patter that you can kind of always keep in your back pocket. But Nick, we went through the depth chart. I think that was a great exercise for us to do today. And it kind of led and facilitated some really strong conversation between the both of us to kind of give the lay of the land as of May 4th of where the Bears currently stand post draft. We've obviously identified like some spots where we want to see a little bit more talent. We've identified players on the bottom of this depth chart that we have high expectations for that can rise up, as well as some guys that, maybe they kind of fall out of graces here a little bit. So all in all, I thought this was a great topic for us to kind of discuss. Appreciate you coming up with that yesterday evening for us. And I hope everyone enjoyed the show. It seemed like the chat, really, really did. And I just want to appreciate everyone partaking in it, participating, and kind of just giving some of your thoughts throughout. Make sure to like this video. That means so much to us when you like these videos. So make sure to give it that thumbs up. Share it with a friend. If you have a friend that's a Bears fan or a family member that doesn't know about us yet, just that word of mouth. And I mentioned that back in like the Chicago Audible days. It still means so much to us at CHGO that if you can kind of, share our show with some like-minded Bears fans to kind of help grow this awesome community that we've already had started. Nick, any final thoughts before I sign off?
Yes, one thing, Will, I don't know if the name Nicholas Morrow even came up in this show because we glanced at linebackers. Okay, it did. Well, just want to give him a shout out there. Just again, one last time. And then there was one really, I love this comment. It was from something Onyx. He basically said, look at the secondary becoming a strength all of a sudden. Somewhere around those lines. I'm like, yes, look at that. That was such a weakness before this draft happened. And man, we were debating who's going to play, where the competition here. It is a great thing to kind of have now that the Bears are in this situation right now.
I'm sorry, you're just making me laugh. Like, did we talk about Nicholas Morrow? And I'm like, you literally said he was calling the plays on defense.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe because we're a doppelganger of each other now because our name's so similar, like I completely forgot. But I saw that in the comments. I'm like, Nicholas Morrow, did I say anything about him? Like, oh shit, he's calling the plays. Oops, I said that too.
You did.
So
Great.
there we go.
Oh, yeah, and then you're gonna get a call like, "Why did you say that?" Like, so you should definitely remember.
Nicholas Morrow.
That's right. There we go. All right, that's gonna do it here for today. Make sure to follow us on the socials. At CHGO_sports, at CHGO_Bears. I'm at Will DeWitt. My L's are ones, but if you just type in Will DeWitt, you'll find my face. I promise. And if you don't know what I look like, my bio says I cover the Chicago Bears. And then, of course, at Nicholas Moriano because he's a unique character and he gets to have his full name as his handle. Lucky you, Nick.
Hey,
all right.
I got it early on it.
There you go. All right. That's going to do it here for today. We'll be back at you tomorrow with more Bears talk, but have a great rest of your Wednesday and take care.